Burundi is a country in East Central Africa. Burundi has two major ethnic groups, and that is the Tutsis and the Hutus. The difference between the Tutsis and the Hutus, what differentiates them actually, is that the Tutsis are more bodily built. The females are more beautiful, they are more bodily built, they are more taller, they are more presentable more than the Hutus. So when the colonizers came, colonized Burundi, and when the white men thought it was time to divide the black men by giving authority to few of the people to still make them divided within themselves, they gave the authority, they gave this power to the Tutsis, because probably they were more presentable more than the Hutus, so they loved the Tutsis more than the Hutus. So after the colonizers left in 1961, when Burundi got their independence, the Tutsis continued ruling the Burundi country, and they continue ruling, and whenever a Hutu president comes up, he is being killed. He is not allowed to rule. So 10 years down the line, when the president called Michael Mekombero came into power, Michael Mekombero ordered the killing of every single Hutu that can be seen in sight, especially the males and the people working in governmental offices were slaughtered. More than 300,000 people died in that particular genocide. More than 300,000 people, which is more than people who died in the atomic bombing of Japan in 1945, died in Burundi. And 50 years down the line was when the Tutsis realized that this is our siblings. These are the people that we actually fought for independence with. We are not supposed to treat these people this way, and they apologized to the entire Hutu. So it took Burundi 50 years to actually know that the people that we're actually killing, we are still their siblings, we are still the brother, we are still just in one country, we are still part of them, we are still their blood, we are still their flesh. It took Burundi 50 years to actually know that. But the question I really want to ask is, Africa have suffered so much. It is not only Burundi. Africa has suffered so much from tribalism. But the question I really want to ask is, have Africa learned to live without tribalism? This is exactly what we're going to be discussing today on Reinvent with Okafo Adachi. Everybody knows Nigeria is the giant of Africa. Nigeria has 50% of the African GDP. Nigeria in the last presidential election is where I would actually love to project my example from. In the last presidential election, which was majorly between Bola Tinubu and Peter Obi, which were previously the governor. Bola Tinubu was previously the governor of Lagos State down here in Nigeria, and Peter Obi was the previous governor of Anambra State down here in Nigeria too. So two of them came along head to head in this particular election, and everybody, particularly 80% of the youth, supported this Peter Obi, because they believe that Peter Obi have done so well for the Anambra people, and he is going to do it well by the Nigerian people. They believe that Peter Obi is actually sent by God to actually transform things in this country, Nigeria. Everybody believed in Peter Obi, even not only the people in the country, but people in diaspora. Everybody was speaking out loud with Peter Obi. Everybody was saying we need to make sure that people do not rig this election, because this is our time to actually shine. We see a whole lot of people, a whole lot of white people outside speaking a whole lot about Peter Obi. Like Barack Obama came and gave this message to the Nigerian people and said this is one of the chances that you should not ignore. Beyonce came up and also spoke to Nigeria. A whole lot of people came around and spoke to the Nigerian citizens, and they spoke and believed that Nigerians will not fail this time. But at the end of the day, the will of the elites, the will of the people who sit at the governmental seat, superseded the will of the people. It's no longer news. But what I'm really trying to say in all of this is that Peter Obi is from the eastern part of Nigeria. If you know Nigeria very well, you know after the Civil War, which was fought shortly after the independence of Nigeria, a man from the eastern part of Nigeria have not succeeded to rule Nigeria as a country. So it was a surprise that people thought that someone from the eastern part of Nigeria can actually do something that is actually very, very good by the people. So it was surprising. So shortly after the presidential election, it was time to do the Lagos election, the Lagos gubernatorial election, and it was between Rhodes Vivo and Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and these were the two people who were actually majorly contesting for the Lagos state election. Prior to the moment, I saw a whole lot of people who rose from the western part of Nigeria and started saying that this Vivo, the boy from Labour Party, the guy from Labour Party, that this Vivo, that his mother is actually from the eastern part of Nigeria, that his wife is actually from the eastern part of Nigeria, that the Yoruba people, the western people, do not need to vote for this guy, because while they are voting him, they are actually voting for someone from the eastern part of Nigeria. He is not from the eastern part, it was just his mother and his wife from the eastern part of Nigeria. And then if we actually give him this seat, we are giving it to someone from the east. So he's being judged by the area that he was actually coming from. And at the end of the day, Babajide Sanwo-Olu actually won that election. So the question I really want to ask every single African is, if you get this contract that you want to get, if your brother gets into power and you get this contract that we're about to get, how about your children? I have a saying from America, for people living in America: let us fight, let our days be full of trouble, but let our children succeed, let them prosper, let them not get to actually suffer. That is one of the reasons why America is actually where it is, because they accepted and said, let us suffer, let us wait, let us fight, so that our children will have prosperity, so that our children will be vast in prosperity. And that is exactly what is happening down there today. America is the most powerful country in the world today. So if we succeed today, how about our children? How about our children? Are they going to succeed? Are they going to know someone in power that is going to give them the same contract that you want your brother to actually go to power in order for him to give you? Having your brother in power, does it mean he's going to work, or you just want your brother to just be in power? We elect people who are just our brother. We don't know if he ticks the boxes, if he actually provides a better future for our children. It is nothing. You just want your brother in power. And I really want to ask, when you want to travel outside your country, do you have here in Nigeria, have the National Republic of Nigeria? Do you have your tribe inscribed in it, probably in bracket, National Republic of Nigeria, and the bracket Eastern part of Nigeria, a Republic of Nigeria in bracket Western part of Nigeria, Republic of Nigeria in bracket Northern part of Nigeria? It is always you going with just the Republic of Nigeria, you going with the Republic of Burundi, or whichever country, Burkina Faso, Guinea, Togo, any country, but you actually go with it, not a tribe actually inscribed in it. I really think the African countries need to learn, the African individuals need to learn that it is not about your brother or a woman being in power. It is all about someone who can actually go there and give you a good representation. That is what it should be all about. Another question I want to ask is, don't we get to know that a touch on one is always a touch on all when it comes to every single country? Like when someone comes with a plan to actually build nuclear weapon and goes to the government, it's actually a plan from one person, but at the end of the day, it is this country that has this bomb. It is a bomb that is made in France or Germany. So far, a man from Germany actually comes around with that idea to actually build a nuclear weapon. It now comes from that country. The same way, anyhow we actually put ourselves, like the recent Boko Haram, the reason why Nigeria is one of the terrorist group and everybody that wants to come to Nigeria is being warned to back off, is because of the Boko Haram. And Boko Haram only terrorizes just a part in Nigeria and not all the parts in Nigeria. But yes, Nigeria is being stated as one of the terrorist group by the world. So that is what we don't get to understand. That the way that we go out there and represent our countries is the way that people actually takes it. The way that our youths go out there and beg these white men to actually go into their country is the way that we are actually seen as. Another question is, do you actually go to China and when you go to China, you see people in Beijing fighting people in Zhangguo? You see them fighting for each other relevance. You know that the goods that you buy from Beijing carries made in China. The ones you buy from Shanghai carries made in China. The same thing, if a goods is built in Nigeria, despite it being built in the eastern part, in the western part, in the northern part, it inscribes built in Nigeria. So if we get that point that it is not all about tribalism, it is all about representing our country, it is all about having this beautiful presentation about your country, you will not get it here. Africa is one of the most corrupt continents because of the way we often present it as. If we have this new view about ourselves, if we forget tribalism and look for who is actually going to give us the best out of what we want, that should be the best that African people ever wished for. That would be the best gift that we'll ever give our children. That would be the best environment that we'll provide for our children, where there is no tribalism, where everybody goes for who deserves it, where everybody goes for a leader who they know that will go to that seat and actually work for the people, for a leader who actually go there and represent us well.